Okay, I think we're live. And hello everyone who's watching. My name is Moises Vesaye, and this will be the first stream in Son of Crypto doing market analysis. We'll be talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Doge, and Polkadot in this case, as well as have a look at the S&P 500. Because, as you know, the S&P 500 and the crypto markets have been heavily correlated. Now they're kind of decoupling because Bitcoin was rising way too much, way too fast. But if the stock market were to dump, then Bitcoin will follow, and so will the other cryptos. Anyway, let's have a look at Bitcoin. We'll start with the monthly chart, and the monthly chart looks pretty bad. You have your stochastic RSI in a bearish posture. The normal RSI is also bearish. The candles are bearish. You made a new swing low, and as long as we don't break this swing low at 28, then we could have found the bottom. But if this swing low is broken, then I think we will come down and retest this $24,000 range. Your BitMEX funding rate is slightly favoring the bulls, but it's climbing, which is a bearish sign. So the monthly chart still looks very bearish. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. And the weekly chart is holding the 50-period moving average. It is still in a bearish posture, also made a new swing low. And if this red line is broken, which is actually now coinciding with the 50-period moving average, then I think we will see more downside. What I'm looking for, ideally, is for the price to come down and wick all the way down to this setup trend line. This setup trend line, by the way, is from the MRI, which is a paid indicator created by Tone Vase, which I really like. And so if the ideal scenario would be to come down to somewhere around 25, 26, and have a big wick all the way down to this setup trend line, or even the 200 period week moving average, but then wick right back up. I don't want to see a close down here. I want to see a wick and then come right back up above 25. And if we get that and a very negative funding rate, then, that will be accompanied with a bearish sentiment, which would signal to me that the bottom is in. If we get a big funding rate low, a big wick and a close above 25, then I think that would have been the low, and then I would be pretty confident that we would start coming back up. Now, the daily chart is where most of the action is at when you're trading. So if you would have been actively trading, then this is the chart to look at the moment, and this is still bearish. I mean, you had here a breakout right there, but I mean, yeah, this actually would have this would have made me bullish, but then this clearly didn't amount to anything, so this would have been a losing trade. That's why we have stop losses. And this was looking promising, but I mean, you had the 50-day moving average here, and you had this declining very fast. Yeah, it never made it above. This should have been a sign anyway, but that's the way it's looking right now. And so, yeah, just a false breakout, and this is still looking bearish. We made a new low, a new closing low, which is not good. So again, if this channel is broken to the downside, or even if this red line is broken to the downside, then I would expect to see lower prices. The RSI is completely useless right now. The Bollinger Bands are starting to tighten up, which could signal a strong move. When you get Bollinger Bands tightening up, just for those who don't know how Bollinger Bands work, basically you have the 20-period moving average in here, and these are standard deviations from that moving average price. So when this starts to tighten up, when these standard deviations start to close up to the price, they start to equalize, I guess is the word, equate, I don't know. But when they start to become equal, you get these tightenings of the Bollinger Bands, and then that usually signals a strong move, whether to the upside or downside, but a strong move nonetheless. So we might see some sort of strong move in the next few days, according to the Bollinger Band indicator. So yeah, this is pretty bearish looking still. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. And the 4-hour chart is also bearish. You see how this channel, which I had already drawn from yesterday, is holding really well. And I'm going to actually zoom in here a little bit. And according to the MRI, you are on an MRI buy warning. So next candle could give you a nice short-term buy the dip opportunity. I mean, we could see this come all the way up to 39 and still be in a bearish trend, because this is a downward channel. So even if it goes up here, I wouldn't get my hopes up. I mean, I would need to see a close above the 200-day moving average to actually become more bullish on this thing. So above this level. So we need a close above 45 for me to officially think that we're outside of a descending trend. Let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. 1-hour chart. Yeah, the 1-hour chart is also still bearish looking. We couldn't even break the previous swing high. We're below all the moving averages. And yeah, it's not looking good. Let's take a look at Ethereum, although probably now all the altcoins are going to be dumping just harder than Bitcoin, because that's what they usually do. If Bitcoin goes down, then the altcoins go down harder. And if Bitcoin goes up, vice versa also, altcoins go up faster. Funding rate is now used here. And Ethereum, yeah, Ethereum looks really bad. I mean, you had here a huge descending triangle, which I'm going to roughly draw. And you had this shape going on here, and yeah, I shouldn't break any of the bodies, but you get the point. It's basically a descending triangle, and when this candle occurred, this would have definitely gotten me out. But I mean, you had this descending triangle structure, so this is bearish, and it does indicate that you're going to go down with a higher probability than up. And yeah, now that we broke here, we broke this key support level, and it held in the, what is this, the 200-day moving average. It held, but now the support is becoming resistance, and it's just knocking the price down. It's breaking here. This looks very bad. This looks like it's gonna, Ethereum looks like it's gonna puke a lung, honestly. The stochastic RSI though could reverse it a little, but I mean, if this is acting as resistance now, and you are here in an MRI buy and still it amounted to nothing, then I think this is gonna keep going down. Yeah, not even worth looking at other time frames. Cardano is going to probably be doing the same thing. I would be very surprised if one of these coins is actually going up instead of down, considering that Bitcoin is dragging the entire market with it. Let's take a look at the daily chart on Cardano nonetheless. And yeah, this looks very bad. You had here the crossing of the 20-day moving average with the 50-day moving average. So you had a death cross here. You had a beautiful bounce off the death cross though. Wow, this is textbook. I mean, you went below the moving averages. You had a death cross here, and boom, perfect bounce off the desktop. And look at this MRI buy right here. So the MRI gives you exhaustion of moves. So basically when it's a buy signal, it means that the downward trend is exhausted. And according to Tom Weiss himself, with his indicator, you can expect a 1 to 4 candle correction and then more downside in this case because it's a downward trend. And yeah, this was perfect. If you were trading the MRI, then you could have here, this would have been a buy signal, and you saw this death cross coming, you could have perfectly put a take profit around here. So this is actually a very nice trade that you could have done with the MRI. There's another indicator, by the way, that's free. This is called OTT, or Optimized Trend Tracker. And it's when there's moves, like long momentum moves, not when there's consolidation, then this indicator is not very good. But it works really well on daily and weekly, and when there's big moves. So for example, here you were on a buy, and you were on an MRI buy and an OTT buy, and you had this entire run up, and then here it told you to sell, and here it told you to buy, and here it told you to sell. Now it's on a buy and a sell. So you have some sort of consolidation here, so this might not be very useful, but you get the point. And this one's free, so nice to have a look at anyway. And yeah, now we're bouncing off the moving average. and this is probably gonna keep taking us down. You had a beautiful bounce off the 200-day moving average here. At least Cardano is trading technically in a very nice and predictable way, which is always cool. And yeah, we don't need that there. Let's take a look at Dogecoin. What is Dogecoin doing? Oh, had a nice little pump here right off the MRI buy. That's awesome. And then here the MRI sell, which is this red one here, this red arrow. It came a little early, but still worked pretty well in the end. Yeah, how is this looking? Very unpredictable. This probably would have gotten me in. But yeah, here this is a trend line from the MRI as well. It's called the breakout line. So usually when you get above this, it will break out. But of course it got rejected there because we're in a descending trend on Bitcoin. So I wouldn't see why this would behave any different. Although you had this really nice run up. But this is the 1 hour chart. And we want to take a look at the daily. So yeah, wow, the daily chart is a mess. And how much did this dump? I'm just very curious. I want to see from the peak until now. This has lost 63%. All right, I guess that's fine. Wow, this was a huge dump right below the setup trend line. Very nice run up here, but there was no way of knowing that this would reverse. You didn't have a big wick which would usually signal a reversal. These are reversal candles. This is what you want to look for when you want to see a market bottom. You want to look for a candle like this. You want some downtrend and then a candle like this to signal a reversal of the markets. This here on May 19th, which also happened with Bitcoin, this got me back in. But then we got rejected here in Bitcoin right off the 200-day moving average. So that got me out. Until that level is broken, I'm not going to be very enthusiastic. So Doge is also not looking good. It broke below the setup trend line, then came right back up, but got rejected by the 20-day moving average. And so I don't see any upside to this. All the moving averages are trending downwards. Even your stochastic RSI is about to get exhausted, and the RSI itself is bearish, and this is not useful here. And probably if I put the OTT tracker, oh, it's on a buy signal. I don't know how much to trust that buy signal, though. I would honestly wait until we get some clear reversal, at least close above the 20-period moving average to do anything with that. Let's take a look at Polkadot. This is the hourly. I don't want to look at the hourly. I want to look at the daily. Again, this doesn't matter here. And yeah, Polkadot looks really bad on daily chart. The RSI is bearish. Stochastic RSI is not useful because it hasn't trended upwards again. You need to have it trend. I mean, it could give you some upward movement. We are on an MRI buy, so you could have maybe a 1 to 4 candle correction all the way to this 20-day moving average to then see more downside. But you could expect here a 1 to 4 candle correction, and especially if the stock RSI crosses the 20 level. If it goes above the 20 and you get a candle now closing above this swing high here from the previous candle right there, so that could give you a 1 to 4 candle correction here for a short-term trade. Now let's take a look at the S&P 500, because the S&P 500 is very interesting, and the reason it's interesting is because it is going up, but it's forming an ascending wedge. Now the thing with ascending wedges is that they usually, when they finish, they break to the downside. This usually signals an exhaustion of upwards momentum. Now this could just break out, but for now I would be cautious in the S&P 500, and especially because the S&P will drag the crypto markets with it if it comes down, and it might be a little overdue for a correction. But we need to see what happens with this entire ascending wedge. We could see a breakout, and if we see a strong breakout above this line and hold above this line, then I would be very bullish again, the S&P 500. For now, I'm still bullish, but cautiously bullish because of the ascending wedge. I don't like the pattern of an ascending wedge, and usually they have to be accompanied by descending volume, but for some reason I can't see the volume on TradingView for the S&P, so I don't really know if we have descending volume or not. But yeah, for now, just maintain some caution. And yeah, that will be it for this market analysis, and we'll be posting more content very soon, and leave comments on what you would like to be reviewed, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.